Hi guys, welcome back to Mak Chats. Today, I wanted to answer my question from a couple videos ago. Which do you like better, NHRA or IHRA? And as I do with all of the important decisions in my life, I made a pro-con list. Except I didn't call it a pro-con list because that sounds too negative. I made it a yays and the nays and the not yays and nays list, okay? It's a long name. We're working on it, okay? So, there's been a lot of online discourse about which is better, IHRA or NHRA. And I'm only going to kind of contribute to that just a little bit, okay? And you'll see as we go on here why. I want to do this with a lot of grace. I love both parties for, they both have individual good meanings to me. I want to give this the honesty it deserves, but also with the grace that it also deserves. So with that being said, let's get into it, okay? Let's start with NHRA. Let's get into it. First with the NHRA, the yays, okay? They have a lot of sponsors, okay? And I think that is a big pro, okay? They've got a sponsor for everything you can possibly think of, okay? There's an official spark plug. There's an official tire. There's an official... Each track, each lane has its own sponsor. There's an official sports drink. There's an official drink. There's an official... All of the things, okay? And I think that is awesome. It's pumping more money into the sport. And I think that's a good thing, okay? Then they have my favorite thing. They have Drag Race Bracket Bonanza and NHRA, or Play NHRA. So I can't gamble, but they do have the free DRBB, which I love. Y'all should all go play, okay? And I've heard there's a lot of people, like I know NHRA Beer Guy loves doing the Play NHRA. I also love that there's so many activities in the Midway. There's so many games and prizes that you can win and simulators that you can go in. They've got a lot of stuff to do to keep you entertained in between classes or in the classes that you don't particularly care about watching. You can go walk the pits and see all sorts of fun things to do. So I do enjoy that. They upgraded this last year. They upgraded the tower at Indy. They unveiled the new tower. In the coming years, I think this year they're working on the bathrooms, and over the next, they got a whole plan laid out for how they're going to be updating Indy specifically. And I know they've been updating other tracks that they own as time has progressed here. Pit access for all. Growing up, I did not realize that was a big deal at all. Okay, because I was just like, it's a racetrack. What do you mean you don't get to walk the pits? It wasn't until I was like 10 that my dad was like, that I was like being like, why are they talking about pit access for all? That my dad was like, because other motorsports don't have that. You're lucky. You grew up with the best motorsport in the world. You don't know nothing about not being able to go into the pits. So I obviously I love walking to the pits. Okay, I'll insert some pictures here. I've gotten a lot of great pictures over the years with a lot of great drivers. So that's always been really cool for me, especially as a little kid. Oh my gosh, being a little kid and getting to walk up to the ropes there and stand there and see your favorite driver and get a picture with your favorite driver and get to awkwardly say good luck this weekend and getting to watch them work on the cars. It was the coolest thing. So I love that, and I love watching other people get to experience it for the first time too. It's awesome, especially if they're an adult and they've been a fan of other motorsports before coming over to NHRA, and they're like, oh, I can just walk back here with the cars right here and watch them work. I think that's so cool. They have really good interviews post runs. Honestly, they have good interviews all throughout the day with drivers and crew chiefs and all the stuff. Okay, right? But I think they've done a really good job. Their announcing team this year is fire. Okay, listen, I still miss Alan Reinhart, but they have had really good interviews the last couple of years, I'd say. They've always had good interviews, kind of ebbs and flows, but I think like this year's lineup of announcers is top tier. The live music and interviews on stages across the pits, okay? They don't always have live music in every race, I don't think, but they usually have it at Indy, which is the one that I have gone to the last 13 years, so that's one I know for sure they have it at. And they have a lot of stages across the pits that they do different interviews on. I know sometimes they film the Insiders podcast live. Okay, Hannah always does the interviews with various stars throughout the weekend on this like gigantic stage in the middle of the pits. I love those. They used to do Nitro School. That was one of my favorite things. Listen, okay, picture me, how old was I? 12, sitting at my first indie, like literally sitting on the ground in front of the Nitro stage, just like staring up, learning everything that I could possibly learn about a Nitro car. Okay, I loved that. And I wish they would bring Nitro School back. But, okay, moving on. They have quick cleanups after oil downs or accidents. Now, obviously, I'm not including rainouts in any of this whole entire list. There is not a thing about rain delays in here. Okay, you can't control the rain delay. You can't control the weather. I think having the quick cleanups after oil downs, after an accident, anything happens, they're pretty quick to clean it up and to keep the classes moving. All right, let's move on over to IHRA. They also have pit access for all. Okay, and also, before I fully jump into the IHRA, I haven't gone to any IHRA races this year. They haven't been close enough for me yet. Also, they've had one race. So, okay. So, I'm going off of my experience at Milan Dragway for the Nitro Outlaw Series and the Pro Mod race that they had there. And I'm also going off of what my grandparents told me, who went to the race in North Carolina this year. So, okay, I've got firsthand and secondhand experience here. Okay, so just so we all know this going forward. Okay, and I do plan on going to some IHRA events this year. They just got to get into my neck of the woods, you know. So, all right. They do have pit access for all. I think I already said that. They do have live music at some of the events, which I enjoyed. They have just like NHRA, they have good interviews post-run, and like in the pits and everything, and in the staging lanes. They've got good interviews. Their announcing team is really good. I enjoy them. They have upgraded, they own, I would argue, a majority of the tracks that they race at. So I enjoy the upgrades that they've done. So again, I'm taking Milan for an example, okay? Because that has been my home track my whole life, okay? The bathrooms were a heck of a lot nicer this last year. I feel like I know they repainted the towers. They redid the entire track. Like I went there, my dad, grandpa, Nana, grandpa, and I drove past there, I want to say in like March of 25, just to check it out. And they were tearing up the whole track, like redoing the track, the walls, so it looks really good. And the seating was still, the bleachers still felt the same, they were still like the old school wooden ones, which I enjoy. But I was a big fan of it. Okay, listen, I greatly enjoyed the bathroom upgrades, okay? And they had a bajillion porta potties there. So just in case you didn't want to wait for the normal bathrooms to be unoccupied, you could use a porta potty. And they had, Milan, they had 20 of them lined up in a row on the sportsman side of the pits, which is the side that the parking lot. Good Lord, words are hard. It's the side of the track that the parking lot's on, so that kind of made sense. Tickets are $40 to go to have an entire day of racing there. And when I say an entire day, I mean an entire day of racing. So I think that's a big pro. Moving over to the nays, okay? We'll go with NHRA first. Let me zoom this in a little bit more. Okay, the nays. The nays for the NHRA. The food vendor cost is a little high. Now, I don't know if NHRA controls this or if it is the vendors themselves that control this, but going to spend all weekend there at Indy, it's a lot of money to eat there all weekend, okay? Now, usually, I'll eat breakfast at the hotel before I leave. We'll grab dinner of some sort after the track. eating and snacking at the track. And okay, so what I try to do is I try to bring in a backpack full of snacks, essentially. So that way, because I'm not I don't like to eat very much when I'm at the track. So, but I do know that I need to eat, and that if I don't eat, I will not feel good. So, I usually bring in a bunch of snacks. I love, okay, at Indy, every year I will get French fries. I didn't do it last year, but usually every year I will get French fries and fried pickles, and I will have myself a ball. Usually I get a nitro burger at some point in the week, but it's expensive, okay? And trying to picture bringing my future family to the racetrack and not bringing snacks in, that's crazy. So, again, I don't know if NHRA controls that or if it's the vendors themselves, but either way, I'm putting that in the nays, okay? Now, another issue is that they've been having some audio issues with streaming. And I've heard that they're working on that they got some new equipment over the off season and they're trying to work out the bugs in it. So I know that is a work in progress, but for now, I have to add it in the nays, okay? Now, this is not one of my nays, okay? I want to make this abundantly clear. This is not Michaela saying this. This is the internet saying this one, okay? Every Billy Bob Joe on the internet brings this up, okay? And it's the fact that nitro classes are only 1,000 foot, okay? Nitro should be quarter mile. It's not 1,000 foot. Okay, listen, if you know anything about the history of the sport, you know exactly why nitro is 1,000 foot, and you can shut the hell up about it. Okay? This is what we are doing now. This is what we have been doing for 20 years now, right? Yeah, that almost maths out. Almost 20 years now. This is what we've been doing. Get with the program, buddy. So, those are the nays I got for that. So, moving over to the IHRA nays. They don't have many sponsors yet, which is not that concerning because I know Dorana Hybrid has a lot of money. So, it's not that concerning, but I think for like a long-term future, that is a little concerning. But right now, it's not an issue. There's not many activities to do in the pits. Now, I know at Milan, they have the playground for kids. They have they had cornhole. They had a couple cornhole boards set up. That was a hard word. But there's not many like vendor games, and which I guess would lead into the few sponsors. Is there's not many like vendors giving out prizes or doing little games or whatnot. So that would be that. But I do know that this year they have a Ferris wheel and they're doing bull riding events there too. So again, I have not been at Milan last year. They didn't have the Ferris wheel. So, and I was also like working actually. So, but I did walk the pits a bunch. So I didn't notice any activities and games. If there were, I missed them and I'll take it back. Okay. Again, with all of my videos, I'm okay with being wrong. Okay, just tell me nicely that I was wrong. And if I was wrong, I'll correct my opinion. Okay? If you tell me like a jerk, I'm going to double down. So, choose your words carefully. The TV screens are sometimes poorly placed. And what I mean by that is at Milan last year, well, okay, two things. Milan last year, they had, I don't remember if it was for the Nitro Outlaw series or the Pro Mod race. One of them, they had the band in front of, I want to say 125 or like 220 feet down track, right there in front of the sportsman side pits. And that must have sucked for everybody sitting behind him. And what also sucked about that is that's the side of the track with all of the trees for shade. So that did kind of stink. It was nice on the one hand to have the music right there playing. I was just standing on the wall bebopping around as I'm taking pictures, listening to music and race cars. Okay, it was kind of nice. But having it that close, you were blocking so much of the stands from being able to see the track. kind of defeats the purpose of being at a racetrack. You're coming there to watch the cars. And at the North Carolina race a couple weeks ago, my grandparents told me that one of the TV screens was blocking the one side scoreboard. So that's also an issue. They do have longer cleanup times and down times. So cleanup times, I think that just comes with obviously having the right equipment to clean the tracks. And that I don't know if IHRA, I know that they travel with some equipment. I don't know if they travel with all of the equipment or if they just have made sure that they have the correct equipment at each track. But there are some longer cleanup times, and there's a lot of downtime between classes. And that's one thing that I think will just come with time of, the repetition of having events more often. But again, I have to, in the state of fairness, I have to put it on here. Okay. Now, jumping to the not yays and not nays, the things that are a toss up. So these are things that can really go either way. Okay. And it's the same thing for either one. So IHRA, they will not bump any classes to get the pro session in on time. And the NHRA, they will bump classes to get the pro session in on time. Okay. This is why these two things, the same flip-flopped around, are in the not yays and not nays section of this. Okay. Because on one hand, it's bad for the fan. Not bad. It's not the greatest for the fans to have them sitting around all day waiting to see the big show. Okay. Let's be real. Most people go to the track because they want to see Nitro. Okay. They want to bring their friends to come see the Nitro cars. Having to wait until 11:30 at night before you're running Nitro, even for a seasoned fan like myself, that's a late night, okay? Especially if I'm thinking I got to the track at 8 a.m. this morning, which probably means I was up at 6 o'clock getting ready for the day. That's too early, okay? That's too long of a day, okay? That's sleepy night time at that point, okay? So, but on the other hand, on the NHRA side, I can see how crappy that must be for a sportsman racer to, okay, we're finally going to race, and no, we're getting bumped because of Nitro. Oh, we're finally going to race. Oh, no, we're getting bumped because of Nitro. I can see how that is annoying and is not fun and or very fair. So that's why I put this down here, because I'm like, I can see this both being a yay and a nay for different groups of people. So I don't really know how to fix that issue. I can see it from both perspectives of the fans wanting a good experience and the sportsman racers also wanting a good experience that they paid here to come do. So I can definitely see it from both sides. I mean, both people paid to come, either to come watch the race or to come race. So I can see that being a really hard thing to juggle. Again, all of this is said with love, and I'm giving a lot of grace to both parties here because I do love them both. One thing I think I forgot to talk about over here at IHRA, and I'll figure this out when I'm editing or not, if I actually did forget to talk about it, is the 8th mile Nitro classes for the IHRA. Okay, again, this is not fully a me. This is mostly the internet. It is a little bit me, but more the internet's complaint of, they're not even doing 1,000-foot Nitro, they're doing 8th mile Nitro. Okay, so listen, I understand. I see the logic and reasoning of why they have 8th mile classes for the whole Nitro Outlaw Series events. I understand it. It makes sense. A good amount of the tracks they're going to are only built to be 8th mile tracks. There is not enough racetrack to go 1,000 foot. And that means there sure as heck is not enough shutdown area for 1,000 foot. So I see how it makes sense to keep all of the tracks on the circuit the same length, so that way the tune-up is the same and all that good stuff. Okay, I see the logic and the reasoning here. But, I'm also, okay, and I'm not the hugest fan of 1,000 foot, mostly because I don't understand the times. And most of the tracks that I've ever been to in my life, in fact, I think all of the tracks I've been to in my life have been quarter-mile racetracks. So to watch cars and just coast the rest of the way, it doesn't make sense to me, okay? Why are we not using the whole racetrack when we have the whole racetrack here to use? But again, I think it makes sense. I see the logic and the reasoning of why they're doing it this way. But that's a big complaint. I had to put it on the list. So yeah, so that's my yays and nays list. Now, looking at all of this, I would have to argue, okay, in my opinion, I like the NHRA more than the IHRA. And it's mostly because I grew up going to NHRA races, okay? It's been my home for many, 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 many years, okay? Let's see. I'm going to be 26 this year. I will have been a race fan for 21 years this year. So, most of those races that I've been going to have been NHRA or at an NHRA track. And I think Nitro in... So I did go to a couple IHRA races when I was younger, but it was few and far between. And then, by the time I was 8? Because when did IHRA kind of disband again? Like 2008 or so? So yeah, I was 7, 8 years old, and, from then on, it wasn't really... IHRA was just kind of a used-to-be thing, so at least for the Nitro classes. And that's... I'll be fully honest, okay? I was a Nitro snob for many, many years, okay? I really only cared about going to see the pros. So, I do love them both, okay? But I like NHRA just a little bit more, okay? Now, again, this is not a knock on the IHRA. I do enjoy their races. I was working most of the weekend, but once I got home, I was watching, I watched the finals live. No. Oh, yeah, I did watch the finals live. I watched, the last... okay, so see, and that's the other thing. It was kind of good that the IHRA ran so late on Friday night because I was able to watch it after work. I got a round of qualifying in after work. So that was kind of nice. But... again, it was a very late night, and I'm sitting at home here on my computer. So either way, whichever one you pick, they're both good sanctioning bodies. And I'm very excited to see what the NHRA does with the 75th anniversary. And I'm even more excited to see what the IHRA does in their first year back in championship competition. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long breakdown of IHRA versus NHRA, and I hope that you all have a great day and have a very happy Easter. Let's see. Do I have a question this week? I don't know if I have a question this week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Are there more things that you would add to this list? Do you think I'm crazy and stupid and wrong? Tell me. And then tell me why. Don't just tell me I'm stupid. Tell me why. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. I love y'all. Have a great weekend.